When we think of India's great spiritual traditions, we usually imagine Hinduism or Buddhism. However, there is another age-old path, less known yet extraordinarily profound, whose message resonates strongly in the 21st century. Jainism. This ancient doctrine, which according to tradition is as old as Indian civilization itself, offers an ethical and philosophical vision based on absolute nonviolence, self-control, and radical respect for all forms of life. Jainism is structured around three great principles, known as the Three Jewels: right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct. Through these, Jains seek to free the soul from the bonds of karma, understanding this not as a mystical punishment but as a kind of subtle matter that clings to the soul when we act driven by ignorance, anger, or greed. Liberation, called moksha, is not a divine state or a reward, but the purification of consciousness, achieved through an ethical and disciplined life. One of the most distinctive pillars of Jainism is the concept of ahimsa, nonviolence. Although many Eastern traditions mention this principle, in Jainism it reaches an exceptional depth. For a Jain, nonviolence is not limited to avoiding physical harm to other human beings. It also means not harming animals, plants, and even microorganisms. This view has given rise to highly disciplined practices, such as avoiding foods that require uprooting plants, like onions or potatoes, and for some monks, carefully sweeping the ground before walking so as not to step on insects inadvertently. It may seem extreme, but behind this discipline lies a powerful philosophical conviction: all life has value in and of itself. No matter how small or seemingly insignificant it may be, every form of life has its own experience, its own vital drive, and its own right to exist. In a world facing environmental crises, mass species extinction, and the unchecked exploitation of resources, this approach becomes surprisingly relevant. In a sense, Jains were environmentalists long before the word ecology existed. Another fundamental principle is aparigraha, or non-attachment. For Jains, the excessive accumulation of material goods not only creates inequality, but also fuels anxiety, competition, and violence. Practicing non-attachment does not mean renouncing the world, but learning to live with moderation and to use only what we truly need. It is an invitation to question our relationship with consumption, ownership, and desire. In a global context marked by hyperconsumerism, this ethic invites us to think of sustainability not merely as an economic adjustment but as an inner transformation. The third major idea is Anikantavada, the doctrine of multiple viewpoints. Jainism holds that reality is extremely complex and that no human perspective can capture it fully. From this arises the need to recognize the partial validity of all opinions and to avoid absolutism. This philosophy fosters tolerance, dialogue, and intellectual humility. In times of social polarization, rigid discourse, and immovable truths, Anikantavada serves as a valuable reminder: none of us possesses the whole truth. Historically, Jainism has had a notable impact on Indian culture. Though its practitioners are a minority, they have deeply influenced the ethics, architecture, and literature of the subcontinent. Their temples, often carved in white marble with astonishing detail, are considered architectural gems. And their non-violent approach inspired influential figures such as Mahatma Gandhi, who openly acknowledged the Jain influence on his philosophy of peaceful resistance. Despite its antiquity, Jainism remains vibrant and dynamic. Today it has millions of followers, mainly in India, though it has also spread to other countries through migrant communities. Its message continues to attract people interested in ethics, meditation, strict vegetarianism, and sustainability. What is most striking is that far from being an isolated or archaic tradition, its values converse with contemporary challenges, from structural violence to the climate crisis, from social fragmentation to the search for meaning. Ultimately, Jainism invites us to reflect on our way of being in the world. It reminds us that every action has consequences, that life is interdependent, and that true strength does not lie in dominating others but in mastering oneself. Its proposal is simple in appearance but profound in scope: to live with compassion, moderation, and an open mind. Perhaps, in an accelerated and turbulent age, this ancient path of ethical serenity can offer us a moral compass to move forward with greater awareness.